Today we're going to be taking a look at the beauty and the perfection of Scout's Yone. And there's many different layers towards this video. We're going to be taking a look at his laning, at his ability usage in lane, and his ability to get the CS. We're going to be taking a look at his mid game, in which that I looked at it and I don't think I've seen him miss a single CS in the mid game. His mid game was incredibly efficient. We're also going to be taking a look at his team fighting, because that's eventually what wins him this series versus BLG. He's versus Knight in the mid lane, which is of course a very strong mid laner. And a really tough matchup as well. If we break this down here initially, we see that we're playing Nocturne Yone versus Orianna Vi. Disaster. Honestly, we couldn't ask for a worse 2v2 at this point in the game, at least. So the early few levels are going to be very bad for us. It's going to be a lot of suffering. And what we're going to see this Orianna do, right? Orianna is going to opt in for a little bit of a strategy, in the sense that she's going to go for a repeated 2-wave crash, because she's going to get the most amount of bully opportunities onto us as Yone like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually try to get as much farm as possible early, prevent Orianna from like dealing a lot of damage to us, recognize which means we gotta give, recognize which means we can actually walk up for and take, just like we do right here, and just really try to like keep up our CS, because we're gonna be under fire here. And this is gonna be a trend that you're gonna see a lot from Scout in this particular lane, is that he's actually gonna be using his E's a little bit more reactively. And in the early lane, he's actually really happy to just give a few minions and stay a little bit higher HP. You can see that Knight has actually fantastic posturing in this particular lane, and he's really putting a lot of pressure onto us as Yone right here. So Knight's doing a pretty decent job. And you can see that because of the fact that we're like contesting a lot of creeps, we're also taking a lot of damage, and we have to pop our potion a little bit earlier. And Knight, as we said, like goes for this repeated 2-wave crash onto us. And in this case, we do a fantastic job going for this reactive E, denying Knight this QW damage. And this is going to be a big thing throughout this entire lane. Is how can we actually deny damage and deny poke from Knight on top of us? In this case, you saw it already. Great E usage, but also great W usage right there, which denies Knight the full damage from his QW right here as well. Great W usage, getting a lot of value from the shield, therefore denying Knight a lot of damage on top of us. Vi was looking for the dive right here, which is possible because we're so incredibly low, but we just have to give a few creeps, but that's completely fine. So far, we're 8 creeps down. It's not the end of the world, because Knight also missed a lot of creeps himself, potentially when he was trying to look to harass us. And what we're really trying to play on right here is we're trying to play on Orianna's mana resource, because the reality of the situation is we cannot really play to trade, mainly because of the fact that we have a Nocturne jungle, so we don't have much threat onto the Orianna right here. Because if you're playing with a little bit more threatening jungle, give or say Giovanni, or you're playing with potentially a Maokai or any other jungle champ that is able to gank and can actually match up against Vi a little bit earlier, what we can do is we can actually play for a little bit of a different strategy, in the sense that we contest a little bit more in the first few waves. But since that's not really the case, we just have to give, and we're really doing our best trying to get as many creeps as possible. And you can see it sometimes is a little bit tricky. In this particular case, it really is all about proper ability usage. In this case, Knight predicted us with holding his abilities, because this is something that Scout consistently does. He tries to use his E forward, dodge out onto Orianna abilities, and then try to get some CS in the meantime. In this case, Orianna Knight's finally doing a great job, like slowing the abilities down and actually landing them onto Scout, which means that we're just under a lot of threat right here. We get our lane cancelled, our reset cancelled, and it puts us in just a very tricky position in this lane. As you can see, we're like 13 creeps down. It's starting to rack up, and that's the downside of this particular mid-jungle 2v2. Right? And in a situation we just have to respect. That's how it is. In this case, we walk up to get 2 creeps, and since Orianna has no mana anymore, we are actually completely fine just getting the last 2 here as well. So amazing job. We're down 11 CS because Knight missed some creeps. Thankfully for us, Knight is missing some creeps here and there. It's making this lane a little bit more salvageable. One of the two of the most best mid laners in the world right here. You can see them go at each other in this amazing matchup. No lane swaps, no shenanigans around mid lane as well. I love it. So we're now opting in, like, we're now closing in towards level 6, which means that we can actually have a little bit more threat here in the lane. We also got ourselves the Berserker Greaves. We don't have refillable potions, so we got to be really, really careful with our HP usage. And you can see right here, fantastic E usage, fantastic W usage, denying Orianna this big chunk. And that's mainly the thing that we're going to try to do, right? Deny Orianna this big chunk, stack up our Q3 so we get a little bit more space in the lane. That allows us to take good quality trades like this beautiful cut of the trade at the end right here. And dodging out on the QW. And you can see that from this point, it seems like Scout's actually getting a little bit more control in the lane again. Mainly because of the fact that he's juking out on a lot of this Orianna's damage. And he's now hitting back at her with our increased attack speed, which means that our abilities also cast sooner. And that puts us in a position where we can guarantee this nice little Skull Crab for our Nocturne. We can also assist him a little bit with the Drake. In the meantime, the enemy team goes for the grips. So from this point, it's really, really important, guys. Like, if Scout does not get contested, what you'll see is that he's going to be hitting every single minion in the lane, but also later in the mid game. Like, he's going to hit every creep, every minion he hits. It was crazy. I've watched this game already, and I was like flabbergasted by what he's been doing. In this case, he's doing a really unique trick in the sense that he's stacking up his Qs all the time, and he's then using them onto the raids, which allows him to regenerate a lot of HP. In this case, fantastic trade as well, denying Orianna a last hit and instantly flicking back so he can also hit the cannon and the other creep. As you can see, he's not losing a minion. He's not getting contested, and he's not losing a single minion. Very nice sidestep. He lost the creep there. I don't know, man. Disappointing. But overall, he's slowly crawling back into this lane right here. We get a little bit more attack speed. We love attack speed in this lane. We also got a refillable potion, which now allows us to start taking a little bit more aggressive trades. Fantastic stuff. We don't miss a single creep worth of experience. Orianna matches the reset. And now we're in a position where both of us are actually quite strong. We're really trying to get to our Blade of Ruin King, because Blade of Ruin King is like such a spike for us that is going to make us like really much stronger than Orianna. Before that, she's actually going to be a little bit stronger than us. Going to be playing a little bit true here. As you can see, like the game state's very slow. Yes, we're slowly losing in CS everywhere, but it's normal because look at your team comp right here. You got a Nocturne, you got a Yone. You guys really start to impact the game, like Nocturne at 6, but Yone at like Blade of Ruin King. Really good movement here by Scout, denying a lot of Orianna damage. A lot of this lane is actually being towards, okay, how can I prevent Orianna from damaging me, rather than, hey, I need to try it onto Orianna. I need to get stuff done in the lane. And when I looked at this lane, it really opened my eyes, because the mindset of playing this particular lane is very, very unique in the sense that a lot of Yones would actually like look to trade onto the Orianna. And right now, of course, we can as well. We got the E, we got the Q3, we got the wave on our side. But we're playing versus Vi. Like, let's be honest here. We're under an insane amount of threat. Vi, Orianna, pretty sure they can just one-shot us. So that's also the trend with Scout in this particular lane. He's just playing very, very careful. And if he has no information, he does not take any risks. This is something that you'll see with a lot of pro players in these particular games. They are completely risk averse. They know exactly what their win conditions are, and they are happy playing for it. So in this particular case, we do get the rel gank right here. And once again, beautiful E usage, W usage, and Q usage, collecting all of the creeps without losing minimal HP. So this lane, so far, I think he's giving a masterclass on how to survive tough lanes. Orianna is definitely tough lane, incredibly strong lane opponent, a laning champion. And in this case, what he actually does is he actually resets. So a lot of people may be wondering right here, this is the first time I'm going to actually pass the vault, because this is a big confusing point for it. Why the F the Scout reset on this pushing out wave right here? Well, look at that. This is Chinese macro, guys. What's going to happen is that Scout actually collects the wave. It's pushing out into Orianna, but it doesn't matter because his bot lane previously had a wave pushing in, and we have now Ashe moving over towards mid lane, which allows Scout to take a reset, open a bot lane right here, and Ashe will then start to take over mid lane. This is a perfect lane swap, guys. Yes, there's a few creeps that are going to be lost, but that's completely fine because they fix themselves up for fantastic lane assignments real soon. Because there's going to be a grub fight. And since BLG already got the previous grips, LNG doesn't want to give those grips up for free because that would put them in a position in which they can really leverage the side lanes. And trading is then a lot more beneficial for BLG as well. So we want to prevent those big gribbies. And in this case, we see that Scout's doing some red ward. And in this case, I think the reason why he took red ward Oracle Lens is because he's got an Ash. So that's like vision on demand, UAV strike. And what he does is he sees that he's got a lot of information on top side, right? So he knows that he's actually able to push up. He wins the 1v1 versus Orianna at this point. So he does a really good job zoning the Orianna off. There's a little bit of shenanigans going on top side. So what he does is he just wants to get this minion out and then look for a TP angle. Look for TP angle on the fight. So fantastic TP right here. And what happens is that we kind of missed the Q3 onto the Vi. We don't kill her. We do kill the Cassante. We stack up our Q3 onto the Grubs. And then we get absolutely annihilated by the BLG. I'm going to be honest. BLG absolutely smurfed this. Like, this was insane team fighting from BLG. I went a little bit too far right here. But what we see right here is with this teleport coming in from Scout. Just coming in right now. You see that he's doing a pretty good job. I think he kind of trolls going for Vi. It would be nice if maybe we could like get the Jhin flash out earlier since he's got still R. But in this case, they just nuke the Cassante. And he stacks up his Q3 and he goes for this E plus Q3 onto Jhin. And Jhin goes for W flash. This is an insane play by Elk. This is mental what Elk just did. Because now Yone is rooted. And I want you to look at the CC bar right here. Vi Q to extend the CC duration into the Orianna R to extend the duration again. And he gets nuked before he can get his R off. Insane CC chain. Mental CC chain by BLG. When I looked at this, I was like, holy shit, BLG is going to win Worlds. Who knows? They may. They may actually win Worlds. Anyway, lane assignments are getting swapped up again. What do we see? Next objective is going to be the Dragon. So we're going to be posturing up towards bot side. We send Rumble top, mainly because of the fact that Rumble has teleport. So we want to be on the strong side of the map where the action is going to happen. We cannot be on the weak side of the map right now, where the action is not going to happen, because we're not going to be having any use, and the enemy can force a man advantage on top of us. So we're getting close to our Blade of Ruin King. And from this point, right, when Scout's really in the side lane, I want you guys to really pay attention towards what he's actually doing when it comes to these minions. He is not missing a single minion from now on, whenever he's in the side lane. He lands every single creep. I lied. I just missed one right in front of my eyes. Unfortunately, it seems I'm a liar. Scout, you disappoint me here. You're exposing me. In this case, right, what happens is that he pushes the double stacked wave in the side, and he's actually going towards the Gromp. Why? Well, because in this particular situation, he wants to be using his resources effectively and his time effectively. And because his team is making play on top, he's got no TP. Great. What we're going to do is we're just going to take this Gromp. We're just going to get stronger. And we're going to come back to the lane. And then we're going to catch these minions as well. So now we just got +4 creeps. A little bit more experience. And we can now just do the same thing. In this case, we're also going to be grabbing up these cinders. And we're actually resetting right here to match reset tempo from the Cassante. And what we're seeing is now we have Blade of the King. So now we're finally spiked. So this is a big spike to us. The enemies get the Rift Herald with our 3k gold down. It's a pretty tricky situation, but we do have 2 dragons, so we can stall pretty easily. And that the next dragon is going to be very important. So fantastic reset cancel from Yone right here. What he does is he spots out the Cassante and he delays the tempo. If Cassante reset earlier, then he didn't really delay tempo, but he just got a little bit more space in the side lane. Very interesting pink ward here, guys. So this is a pink ward that is really low risk for Scout, because it cannot really get contested, and it prevents lane ganks from Vi. That means that the only type of situation that you got to be very careful about is situations in which that Vi is going to come from this particular bush right here, which will sometimes happen, of course. And in this case, we see that there's a little bit of a play into the enemy bot side jungle. We shove out the wave first and we move. So this is one that we're going to slightly rewatch right here. He's going to stack up his Q3 onto these Crux guys. Whenever you're playing Yone and a team fight's occurring, always stack your Q3 up onto whatever you can, because the difference between you having and not having Q3 up is like so big. So let's go back here. This is a massive macro decision what Scout just did. And if we go back, right, we see that we clear the minions, and our Nocturne is now invading enemy red buff. But what happens is, first he's gonna do the blue buff, right? Slow as champ, and then the Nocturne is actually moving into the enemy red buff together with the Poppy. What we have to figure out right now when we're playing Scout right here is, are we gonna move instantly or are we taking a wave first? This is where competitive play is really interesting, because you want to squeeze out every bit of advantage that you can get, because every minion counts, so to say. So what Scout does is, knowing that this play is happening, right, is, I'm pretty sure in comms right now, he calls for this play to be slower. Because if he can get this wave out and move, what's going to happen if whatever happens with this play, it's going to be an advantage for red side, for LNG. Because this minion wave is going to die under turret right here, which means that they're losing resources while the fight's happening. And that's exactly what's happening right here. As you can see, the fight's unfortunately happening right now, but Scout's actually getting all the creeps, and now he's moving. And I want you to look what happens right here, because they're trading 1 for 1 right here. But in the meantime, right, what's happening to the people bot? All of these creeps are dying. Dying. And now, because he pushed in this wave as well, he gets a little bit of extra turret damage. The enemy team needs to like regroup and reposition, and he actually gets the tower because of it. All because he actually pushed that wave in. So now, if you look at the score, so to say, the 2 for 1 that BLG got was actually not that much of a 2v1, because Scout got so much in return. I reckon it was even worth for LNG, this particular play. And it's fascinating that it works like that, but that's how League works. Resources are everywhere. Keep your eyes on them. So, what do we see right now? We see right here, next objective. We press N. It's going to be Dragon. 144 onto the Dragon. It's a big Dragon, because we see that LNG has 2 Drakes. BLG has 0. So both of these teams want this Dragon, because it puts a lot of pressure onto the other team. So this is going to be a big fight. We do see that Zika in this particular situation does not have teleport. So there is even arguments that you don't want to like swap up the lane assignments. But in this case, Scout wants to be on the strong side. Why do they do that? Well, I think that's because they do that because they want to. They feel confident. They feel confident having Zika have the move, and Scout wants to be on this particular side, matching the Cassante, who's got Kynic Rukern. And Kynic Rukern has 0 effect. There's some, but not that much effect versus Yone. So that's going to allow him to put more pressure onto the side lane and actually get a pushing side lane, especially in this position where the mid lane is actually losing for LNG. So they cannot play through mid, so they need to play through a winning side lane. And if you want to contest Dragon and you cannot play through mid, then you have to play through bot. And that's exactly what LNG is going to do right here. That's why they keep the Yone bot right here, because the Yone has a little bit more side lane control compared to the Rumble at this point versus the Xante. Because of this particular reason, as you can see, the trades are just incredibly favorable for Scout. In this situation, we have to be very careful, because if we look at the map right now, it's very dark. It's incredibly dark. So what Scout does right here is he just cleanly takes this Gromp. He waits for his team to get back onto the map. And he doesn't do any crazy pushing right now, because the only way he can fuck up the game right now is if he gets ganked by Vi, loses the timer onto the Dragon, and then they lose like all control, right? If they lose this Dragon, it's going to be a disaster of a game. So he does a fantastic job here. Here we go. He hits all the creeps. Fantastic job hitting the creeps. And now his Vi is spotted on mid, and Poppy is covering him on bot, which means that they get access to place vision right here. Look at that. They're gaining vision through bot. And eventually what you're going to see is that the rest of LNG is going to link up together with Scout through bot lane right here. And we push in the bot lane wave right now, which forces the enemies to respond. In this case, they respond with the Rift Herald. Absolutely fantastic, because if they respond with the Rift Herald, right, we got one of their big resources out. we can kill this Rift Herald. We have a nice ward onto the dragon. Fantastic ward from Hang, which means we know exactly what's going to be happening around this dragon location. And now we see that we can actually walk in. And we did a great job like this because we see that right now we have this fantastic contest angle. Few things to really break down here from both teams. And I'm going to slightly put it on all. We've got Rumble on the flank still answering waves. Why is Rumble still answering waves? Well, these pro players are greedy pieces of shit, which means that they want every resource that's available to them, otherwise they're falling behind. And they're fully right. So, Dragon's spawning right here. Rumble cannot really enter anyway right now because there's no vision for him. So, there's a potential that if he enters right now, there's going to be engaged upon them with like fire. He's going to get isolated. He's going to get popped. And he needs to wait for multi-threat, aka for his team to actually put some pressure onto the enemies. That's exactly what they're doing. And we got ourselves a very interesting formation right here. We see that Vi, Cassandra, and Rel are up front here. We see the Jhin and Orianna in the back. Very nice, decent formation from BLG. I think that in this particular situation, the Jhin and the Orianna could have been a little bit closer. And the Ashe is throwing her ult from for a war. Very nice ult onto the Rel. And instantly the Nocturne ult actually pops off as well. So we're going to continue with this particular fight. We're going to go from Scout's perspective. We're going to see how it goes. So Scout stacks up his Q1 onto the dragon. Misses Q2 on Rel. So now he gets another Q stack onto the Rel. And then he gets a beautiful, beautiful angle onto the enemy team. 3-man ult, double knockup into a one team fight. And he instantly TP's bot. Why does he TP bot? To fix this lane, get these minions out, deny enemies the rest of these minions, and suddenly this entire gold swing that LNG had, or BLG had, is now completely negated because of this particular play. So this is a play that we need to rewind. Scout enters through bot lane, which is absolutely fantastic right here, together with his team. And then we gotta pay very close attention to what he does, right? We're gonna slow the team fight down. So he stacks up Q1 onto the dragon. Poppy ults Vi out, which is very, very important. Because now it's a short time in which that we can fight where the Vi cannot really play. So we dodge out onto the Rel CC. We hit Q2 right here onto the Rel. Rel dies. We see an angle onto the rest of the enemy team. So we E plus flash Q. Elk flashes it. But then we have the fantastic R angle hitting 3 people, which is a pretty good, Vi does a pretty good job of trying to deny this engage further. But Rumble sees the angle, flashes in as well, and just a fucking meat grinder right here, in which that BLG loses. So what a nice angle from Scout. He spotted it perfectly, and instantly keeps up the tempo, denies the enemies even more resources. What a fantastic showcase of what's able to be done on this particular champion, and very good macro as well. So, steals away some more resources right now. We're in a little bit of a lull state of the game. And we have to understand that Scout now does not have teleport. So, if I would be pausing this right here, what is Scout going to do? Well, we know that Baron's going to spawn in right now. So, Scout has no TP. So, we're going to send Scout top. We're going to send Zika bot. Very easy macro. Very easy lane assignments. It's exactly what they're going to do. We also see that the tier 1 top is still available. So this is also maybe an objective that we can potentially look to get. So Scout first opts in to get these Krugs. Why does Scout opt in to get these Krugs first? Well, mainly because of the fact that his team is resetting. He's got some vision. He knows Vi's topside. So if he pushes out the wave right now, he's in a little bit of danger. So he gets these Krugs first. Waits for Orianna to push in the wave. You can see the pings are on the map here as well. Lot of pings from red side that they are not entirely sure what's happening, so you gotta like prevent any risks. And what then happens is that Scout clears the wave right here, and after this wave clear, what he does, he actually walks in a little bit mid. He sweeps, checks if there's any vision together with his E, and this E prevents him from dying, prevents him from getting caught because he can always just flick back. So really, really good ability usage. Nocturne's resetting right now. So Nocturne's resetting, and Scout's also resetting. So for the people that may be wondering, right, why are they resetting? Well, there's a very good reason why they're resetting, because they have deep vision, right here. They have deep vision. And deep vision is awesome. It's especially awesome if you have teleport up. So, who has got teleport? Zika's got teleport. And Zika is currently on 2 items. If we look at this, 2 items Zika, 2 items Nocturne, 2 items Scout, 2 items Ash, full item on Poppy. Look at that. Vi's not on 2 items yet. Oriana's not on 2 items yet. Jhin is not on 3 items yet. So, this is our window that we have an item advantage over the enemies right here. This is literally our window that if we brute force a fight right now, we are stronger and we will win as long as our execution is good enough. So what they're going to do is they're going to reset right here, spend their gold. They're already pinging on these wards. Spend their gold. We get a crit cloak right here. Nocturne has his full items. And what's going to happen is that there's going to be a fight forced right now because LNG knows that BLG wants to contest midwave. Ash ult goes to Narnia. But Nocturne ult right, sets up for this Rumble TP flank. And because Elk has no flash, because they all spotted it in the previous fight, what actually happens is that it's the free skill of their lives, which then leads us to cleaning up a Scout right here. Beautiful ult cancelling the Cassante dash as well. And this puts us in a fantastic position. So if we go a little bit back and watch this from Scout's POV, which is pretty good to do. It's good to look at this from Scout's POV because that's what we're here to learn. We're going to zoom in a little bit again. So just like that. We're actually just walking in on the fight. And what happens is we stack up our Q3 right here onto the minions. There's a TP onto this cannon, which from the Oriana, which we just easily finish off. Once again, stack up the Q3. E plus Q3 into R. His R angles are absolutely fantastic. And really, like, it just looks so sexy. It just looks so sexy. Frescal, we can learn a lot from this, from these R angles. Lot to learn from Scout's R angles for sure. And this eventually leads to him being able to like instantly push out top. Why is this so good? Well, we're recognizing that now the enemies are instantly losing. They're instantly losing minions again. So they're bleeding creeps. It puts us in a great position, a lot further ahead of the enemies. So we're pushing out this wave as well. And after this wave, what we're going to do is we're going to nicely take a tempo reset. Mainly because of the fact that we need to like spend our gold. We just had a big team fight. We need to spend our gold. It's that simple. Next objective in this particular case. What do we see? We see that both Baron and Dragon are up. And both are... Dragon's going to be up in a minute. Sorry. Baron is up right now. So in this case, they sent Scout bot lane. Because he's got TP up sooner than Rumble. So if they send Rumble bot right here, it's an angle for BLG to force Baron or force a fight because they know that Rumble doesn't have TP. Scout's TP timer is so narrow that BLG cannot go ahead and simply start the Baron without Scout being able to answer. As you can see, his TP is coming back up, 2 seconds. And right here, he actually pushes in the wave. And he does a fantastic job here in pushing in the wave. In the sense that he forces the enemies to respond right now. Otherwise, they would be losing a lot of creeps. And in the meantime, there's a nice R angle from Weiwei, which picks off the Rel. And what Scout tries to do right here is he tries to TP in onto the Baron. And he looks like a silver player right here because he gets cancelled by Cassante. This is a TP that I would do as well, honestly. Like, I would get so fucking excited, get the Baron. And now, because he into his TP, Baron's not on the menu anymore, even though they got a beautiful pick on. So, yeah, a little bit unfortunate. So now we're just going to take the dragon, which is great, because this is our 3rd dragon right here. The enemies cannot really contest. And what we see from this point is, hey, listen, Cassante just cancelled our TP. So what are we going to do is we're going to swap up the lane assignments again, head ourselves over towards top side, get control around the Baron, especially with the decent gold lead that we have right now. Decent objective lead, stat lead, just in general. We're going to try to play for this top tier 1, top side jungle control, and eventually the Baron to finish it off with. And it's going to be nice and methodical. So right here, he's pushing out top. And what he does is he gets the cannon and he backs off. Why does he back off? Well, he doesn't have enough information yet. And now he sees Cassante, Jhin, Oriana around mid. And he's checking for a little bit of vision. But he's still scared because the enemy can theoretically collapse. Because blue side has mid prio. And mid power is very, very important in this particular case. So what Scout does is he actually walks over towards his team, and he's now going to try to get control together with them. Mainly because if he goes top lane right now, he's very easily collapsed upon. So he needs to move in with his team, sync up with them, link up with them, and then they can potentially get some control back. In the meantime, BLG engages onto Poppy. They blow a lot of resources onto Poppy. Scout has fantastic team fighting again. Insane ult into Q3, catching off Elk, catching off Knight, and this leads to a position in which that they can just get the Baron. So let's replay this team fight, and we're going to be taking a look at from a little bit of a helicopter POV first. We're going to see how it actually looks like. So Poppy actually gets engaged upon right here, trying to retake vision. This is not bad at all, as long as LNG can actually play the fight out. Because they used a lot of resources onto Poppy, which is fine if you can get the Poppy and then get out, because then it's like a man advantage that you can utilize. But in this particular situation, they couldn't get the Poppy on time. Scout actually had the potential to like retaliate, and we get this insane play with the Q3 on the back end before the flick back to the E, which allows for complete domination and annihilation upon the enemy team. I'm gonna play it one more time in slow motion for everyone to see, because it's just gorgeous. That's it. So we see that Hang gets engaged upon. We're slowing it down a little bit. E forward, Q1, Stride Breaker as well. Q2, R towards the Jhin. Slightly missed Jhin, but we hit the Q3, which is the knock-up. And then the rest of the damage can be done by the Nocturne and Gala on Ashe. And from this point, we get ourselves the Baron. And honestly, game is pretty over at this point. After the Baron, what's going to happen is that they're going to reset tempo. What do they want to play for? Well, they want to play for sieging right now. If that's what you use the Baron for. Use the Baron to siege. So let's take a look at how they exactly do that. We're going to keep it a little bit more of a helicopter view right here. We're not going to go too zoomed in. And what Scout's going to do is he's going to go bot. And we see that the entire LNG plays bot mid. So top lane wave is neutral, which is really nice if you're playing with Baron. We don't take any risks. We don't want to get collapsed upon right here, because if that happens, what's going to happen is that we're going to lose the Baron. We're going to die. We're going to be in a lot of trouble. So we're checking all of the information safely and securely. And the rest of the team finds a beautiful, beautiful angle on the choke point with the Rumble R. Insane Orianna ult though. But this leads us to eventually chunking out Elk, getting Night Flash, chunking Elk, and eventually these kills lead to us railing the enemy base and eventually taking the win. We're gonna have one more team fight in here before the next dragon, in the sense that Scout actually stacking up his Q onto mid-wave. There's a beautiful Q3 buffer, slowing the enemies, and then he got this insane ult angle again, like he's doing it every single time. Triple kill for Scout into the victory. What a beautiful game. What a beautiful, beautiful game. If you look at CS difference, suddenly, instead of being 20 CS down, we're now 50 CS up. 60 even. That's how sexy it is. How? Because he side lane better than Knight. Knight was forced to drop a lot of waves on the side lane, mainly because of the fact that he's playing versus Nocturne. So Knight was under a lot of threat. And that was, yeah, BLG, LNG really used it to their advantage. So they had a fantastic, fantastic play. Beautiful Q3, creating distance from the rest of the enemy team, which then allows them to chase into this. Yeah, it's just the ult angles from Scout are just incredibly sexy. Like, very, very sexy. Curious to see what else he actually brings in this particular tournament. It's going to be a lot of good, high-quality games coming up. If you guys have any questions about this particular game, let me know. Definitely a lot of interesting things that happened. Happily get back to you. And otherwise, I'll see you guys real soon with some more content. Thank you for watching, guys.